Imagine this electrifying moment. It's 2:37 a.m. in the humid darkness of Mar-a-Lago, Florida. President Donald Trump sits alone in his private quarters, phone glowing like a weapon. Transfixed by South Korean markets blazing open 14 hours ahead of Washington, D.C., the KOSPI index is rocketing upward, way too fast. While Seoul's National Assembly stonewalls the $350 billion mega deal they shook hands on just 6 months earlier, $200 billion in direct payments over a decade, plus $150 billion in shipbuilding contracts to repay America's 70 years of defense, including 28,500 troops, still guarding their border against North Korea. His top advisors are dead asleep. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick will not glance at his phone for another 5 hours, but Trump never waits. In a flash, he cracks open Truth Social and unleashes exactly 10 devastating words. South Korea's legislature is not living up to its deal. Tariffs raised from 15% to 25% immediately. The shockwave slams Seoul at 4:37 p.m. local time. KOSPI plunges into instant chaos. Emergency cabinet meetings erupt. Trade Minister Yoo Jang-ha and Industry Minister Kim Young-kwan are dispatched to Washington on a desperation flight. But here is the bombshell nobody caught. 9,000 miles away in the bustling power corridors of New Delhi. As Korean markets convulse from the blow, two titans, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, are putting the final signatures on something that turns Trump's midnight fury into a total nightmare. In the next 36 hours, events unfold that history books will dissect for the next 50 years. The exact instant America's post-World War II trade empire cracked wide open as allies stopped begging for Washington's permission and started building their own world. This is not some random trade spat. It is a masterclass in coordinated economic warfare. A flanking maneuver 18 months in the making that blindsided the US while everyone fixated on the wrong battlefield. This raw truth is not filtering through any mainstream outlet. They are still calling it a tariff dispute. We are peeling back the layers to reveal the money flows, secret signatures, and chess moves that shredded use leverage. Was this really about tariffs or something massively bigger? I am breaking it down minute by minute, with data mainstream ignored, so stick around. Your portfolio, your future, and your understanding of global power depend on it. Let us dive into the timeline that changed everything. Start with the warning flare, Sunday, January 25, 2026. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent steps onto ABC News and drops a bombshell wrapped in casual talk. We have slapped 25% tariffs on India for snapping up Russian oil, he says, then pauses. And guess what happened last week? The Europeans just inked a blockbuster trade deal with India. This was not casual talk. It was a neon sign screaming storm incoming. Bessent knew the dominoes were teetering. He was signaling to anyone paying attention that the world was shifting under US feet. 48 tense hours tick by, markets humming with unspoken dread. Then, January 27th, 2:37 a.m. Eastern Time, Trump's Truth Social post lands like a missile. Raise tariffs from 15% to 25% unless Seoul ratifies that $350 billion lifeline. America demands for decades of protection. By 4:37 p.m. Seoul time, panic rips through the Korean exchange. KOSPI tanks 0.84% in just 15 frantic minutes. Traders scrambling, headlines exploding. The cabinet convenes in war room mode. Ministers jet off to beg in D.C. But while Korea burns, the real action brews elsewhere. In New Delhi's air thick with strategy, von der Leyen and Modi are not just talking. They are sealing the EU-India Free Trade Agreement, announced exactly 36 hours after Trump's threat. Picture this beast, 2 billion people united, a combined GDP of $27 trillion. That's 25% of humanity, 25% of global economic output, unleashed in a pact that slashed India's sky-high car tariffs from 110% to a measly 10%, flung open markets for autos, spirits, textiles, and tech, and baked in deep security ties. These talks dragged since 2007, stalled hard in 2013, relaunched with grit in 2022, but why the supersonic finish right now? Not diplomacy. Pure panic acceleration, a hedge against Trump's tariff hammer, proving Europe and India could forge a colossus without a nod from Washington. Bloomberg buried the Korea chaos on page 6, gave the India-EU monster modest ink as wonkish tariff cuts. But connect the dots on the money trails, factor in what's signed on January 26 that Western media totally blanked. And the veil lifts, these are not separate headlines. This is one ruthless, synchronized strike against American dominance. Comment now, EU-India finalized 36 hours after Trump's tweet, coincidence or checkmate? Because the third layer, the one buried deepest, will explode your mind. Cue the stealth bomber, January 26th, one day before Trump's Korea move. Page 12 of the Financial Times slips out the Russia-India 25-year natural gas megadeal worth $60 billion. Zero fanfare, zero TV hits, most will never hear it. Russia, choked by sanctions, cannot flood Europe directly, so they slash prices 40% below market to India. India refines the cheap Russian crude into products, flips them to energy-thirsty Europe at premium rates. Sanctions laundered clean, no technical violation. The US fired 25% tariffs at India for Russian oil buys. Modest reply, supercharge the arbitrage with this EU pact that ramps the flow. Watch the loop, Russia dumps excess for cash. India scores dirt-cheap fuel to supercharge growth. Europe sneaks Russian energy without fingerprints. All three thrive in a $60 billion annual system that laughs at use control. And woven into EU-India, a security partnership unlocking India's $82 billion Russian arms bazaar. 60% of their weapons sourcing. Europe just grabbed a slice while Trump brawls over tariff points. Three powers erected a fortress beyond dollars, beyond approval. Pumping billions yearly that Washington can only watch. Now decode the market's secret verdict, Korea's $350 billion pledge. That is 11% of their entire GDP. Double the inflation-adjusted Marshall Plan that rebuilt Europe post-World War II. Trump's 2.37 a.m. threat hits. KOSPI dips 0.84% in panic, then rockets 2.73% by close to a record 5,084.85, swinging $43 billion in market cap in one session. Translation: global capital bets, Trump blinked. Korea called the bluff, stocks partying on faith his bite lacks spark. Zoom out to the flanking maneuver. January 20th, Trump issues Greenland ultimatums. Europe smells the Venezuela invasion vibe from January 3rd and hits the accelerator on India talks. Besant's TV warning January 25th. Trump-Korea escalation January 27th. Europe seals India same day. Flexing, we build $27 trillion without you. China lurks in shadows. Feasting upped Korean semiconductor grabs 12% in Q4 2025. Tightened rare earth exports 15% in December while all eyes glued to tariff theater. Winners detonate, losers vaporize. Let us tally the carnage with cold math. China claims the throne effortless. Watches alliances splinter. Yuan-denominated trade surges 18% in 2025. BRICS balloons from 5 to 11 nations with 28.5 trillion GDP eclipsing US. Non-dollar zones mushroom, exactly as Beijing dreams for yuan ascent. India, modest flawless hedge snags Russian oil discounts, refines to Europe premiums, pockets US aid while stacking Russian gear. Swells reserves $58 billion fastest since 2007. FDI jumps $78 billion. Manufacturing shifts from China 23%. 4 blockbuster 2025 deals. Europe powers up a $27 trillion permission-free empire. Silent assassin Japan, stocks climb 1.2% that day. Korean tariffs, Toyota's dream, Hyundai's hell. US obliterated, allies shred veto power. Tariff tool backfires. Dollar reserve share craters from 71% in 1999 to 58%, now projected sub 50% by 2030. Sanctions blunt as Russia-China trade leaps 35%. Iran oils in yuan. Venezuela crude pays Beijing. Korea caged animal craves US shield from north, but 25% exports chain to China. Markets high betting low on Trump pain. The bitter cascade, bypass nations dump dollar reserves, treasury prices tank. US borrowing costs soar on $36 trillion debt, inflation bites hard. This is not isolated, it is cut 4 in a 15-year empire bleed. 1971, Nixon slams gold window unannounced. Bretton Woods dies. Europe plots Euro. 2003, Bush-Iraq plunge ignores Europe, Atlantic fractures. 2017 to 2020, Trump 1.0 quits Iran deal Paris NATO threats. EU births strategic autonomy. 2026 accelerates. Venezuela January 3rd invasion. Greenland January 20th heat. Korea January 27th strike. EU-India riposte instant. Numbers do not lie. Dollar reserves 71% in 2000 to 58% in 2026, 13 points gone in 26 years. Yuan trade settlement 2% in 2015 to 7% in 2026, eyeing 20% by 2035. U.S. tariffs averaged 2.5% in 2020 to 13.2% in 2026. Depression-era peaks. Convergence 2028 to 2030 tipping point. Brace for 3 futures, probabilities locked in data. Scenario 1 slow decline 45% odds. Dollar grinds to regional like pound's 30-year fall. By 2035 your $100,000 savings buys 20 to 30% less abroad. Scenario 2 sudden rupture 30%. Nixon shock 2.0 via Saudi yuan oil. China treasury dump, hot war, 3 to 18 months retirement, evaporates 40% purchasing power. Scenario 3 managed transition 25%. Powers negotiate peacefully amid fights? Least likely, current path scenario 1 veering rupture risk. Your wallet screams. Dollar dethrones spikes inflation. Pounds fall hit Britain 24%. Milk $5 to $6.20. $2,000 monthly burn to $2,480. Borrowing, US rates 4.5% on dollar lust, without it 7 to 8%. February 2026 G7 finance ministers France, unified China jab or vague splits, signaling G7 fracture. April, Korea ratifies pressured or dodges with escape clauses. June, EU-India 40% through vetting, parliament debate, if smooth anti-Trump Europe steal, if snag divide possible. New bipolar equilibrium. Track 1 US security NATO AUKUS quad. Track 2 non-US economic EU-India ASEAN BRICS mashup. Nations grab Track 1 shields. Track 2 stability, not alliance, protection racket. Wildcards flip the board. China-Taiwan invasion 2027 25% shot. Trade irrelevant. War economy. EU far right surges 2026 35 to 40%. Le Pen France or AfD Germany tanks India ratification. SCOTUS axes Trump tariffs unconstitutional 15 to 20%. IPA case pending. Leverage evaporates overnight. BRICS launches real swift killer 30 to 35%. Mid 2026 working. Sanctions toothless. We kicked off at 2:37 a.m. tweet that looked like tariff flex, reality allies unbound, 60% through the Great Transition. Breaking point, dollar sub 50% reserves or multi-currency oil standard. Math mocks politics. KOSPI all-time high post-threat proves leverage illusion. Empire dies not in blaze, 1,000 cuts over decade. We just saw 4. If this rewires your Trump trade war lens, slow decline, rupture, or managed. Korea ratify by February end? Ultimate winner China, India, Europe, or Japan. Share with every tariffs make America great diehard. This is power's unvarnished game, not flag-waving fantasy. Japan bonus chew, 1.2% Nikkei that day. Toasting Korean tariff torment. Track next, Korea debate, G the 7th of February. Russia-India deep dive if you demand. Past 2 profit arms you to prepare. Stay profitable ahead.